When the gas chambers of Nazi Germany were discovered, when the industrialized mass murder of Jews was revealed to us, people across the world found themselves repeating two words: never again. Two simple words, a mantra, an important message, a promise that the world will never again let this happen, that it will never again stay silent about large-scale crimes against humanity. But 7 decades after the Holocaust, the world is doing the same. A new totalitarian state has emerged, a more powerful and ambitious regime than the Nazis. It has spread a deadly virus across the world and is undertaking a cultural and religious genocide at home. The world stands silent. The solemn pledge of never again, lost in history. Hello and welcome to Gravitas Plus. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay and I'm here to talk to you about the Uyghurs. The silence of the international community against their plight, especially those who claim to be defenders of the faith the Uyghurs belong to, the Muslims. Who are the Uyghurs? A Muslim minority group that lives in northwestern China. They're essentially Sunni Muslims of Turkic ethnicity, part Central Asian and part European. They embraced Islam around the 10th century. Prior to Islam, the Uyghurs had embraced Buddhism, shamanism, and Manichaeism. But they had managed to maintain their unique identity. They have their own language, their own culture, their own cuisine. They do not look Chinese. They do not want to feel Chinese. But they're forced to act Chinese. This is Xinjiang, the largest province in China, home to the Uyghur Muslims, roughly the size of Iran, 1.5 times the size of Pakistan, and 12 times the size of Bangladesh. Xinjiang borders 8 countries, most of which have Islam as the largest religion. But Xinjiang remains a part of atheist China. The People's Republic of China annexed this region in 1949. Mao Zedong took control of Xinjiang to prevent Russia from taking over. At this time, the Uyghur Muslims made up 76% of Xinjiang's population. The Han Chinese, the country's majority ethnic group, accounted for just 6%. Today, Xinjiang is made up of 42% Uyghurs and 40% Han Chinese. The Uyghurs have become victims of forced assimilation. Why? Because controlling Xinjiang is essential for the Chinese regime. It is the largest and strategically the most important region of China. It's at the heart of Xi Jinping's Belt and Road Initiative. You can say it's Beijing's gateway to Central Asia and Europe, the most telling example of the CCP's One China principle. But national unity is not the only thing at stake in Xinjiang. This land is overflowing with riches. China's largest reserves, 1/3 of its natural gas and oil reserves, are located here. Xinjiang also contributes 60% of China's output of cotton and 38% of China's coal reserves. Billions of dollars are at stake, which is why Xinjiang is China's most militarized region. It is said that 1 in 3 Chinese living in Xinjiang works for the security forces, and 1 in 10 Uyghur Muslims living in Xinjiang is behind bars. A total of 10 million Muslims are said to live here. Almost 2 million are in jail, 2 million. Those who are not are under watch. They have to deal with the world's most sophisticated surveillance system on a daily basis. There is police on every corner of the street, checkpoints every few kilometers, and cameras that scan everything from number plates to faces to body parts. China says it's doing all of this to curb terrorism. The world says this is persecution. China sends these Muslims to concentration camps and calls them re-education camps, joyful training schools. The Chinese regime says it's correcting extremist behavior, but these camps, let me tell you, are places unlike anywhere on earth. The Muslims are subjected to political indoctrination. They're forced to memorize communist principles. Those who disobey are tortured. They face solitary confinement, deprivation of food, water, and sleep. They're released only when they succumb to beliefs and language of communist and atheist China. But a release does not mean that they're free. It means they're in an open jail. They cannot celebrate their festivals. They're forbidden from wearing their traditional dress. Women are not allowed to wear burqas. Young men are not allowed to keep beards. The Communist Party approves Friday sermons, the Chinese version of the Quran, even names of Uyghur children. Those who disobey are publicly shamed and sometimes publicly executed. And if you think that's bad, then wait till you hear this. China is looking for ways to shrink the Uyghur Muslim population. So these women are subjected to forced sterilization and abortion. They are victims of China's pair up and become family program. You have to hear what this is. Han Chinese men are assigned to monitor Muslim homes. They assist, they eat, and they work with Uyghur Muslim women, and sometimes they sleep in the same bed as them. This is state-sanctioned rape. The United Nations has called it one of the worst cases of human rights violations since World War II. But calling it so does not stop it. What has the United Nations done about it? What has the world done about it? They've raised concerns. In July 2019, 22 Western nations raised concerns about China's unspeakable atrocities in Xinjiang. 22 Western nations. Do you know what happened next? At least 37 countries recruited by China came up with a letter. They whitewashed China's crimes as counter-terrorism operations. And here is the most shocking part. 14 of these countries were Muslim-majority states, 14, all members of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the OIC, a body which ironically claims to be the collective voice of the Muslim world. But when it comes to the Muslims of China, it acts as the collective defense of China. 5 OIC countries top this list. 5 countries that claim to be the defenders of the Muslim faith. Authoritarian regimes that should be shouting the loudest, but have bowed their heads in silence. Let me tell you the names